Mr. Sajimi, would you agree that you are much closer to the defendant than you are to Relli, correct?
Fair to say.
And you do business with the defendant, right?
Sometimes.
How much money has the defendant paid you for your work in the past 3 years?
3 years? I don't recall.
Well, let's give an estimate.
I would say maybe 20,000 per year, so say 60,000.
And I would assume, is he one of the bigger names that you work with?
No.
He's not?
I work with a lot of people, a lot of brands, a lot of celebrities and names. Yeah.
What was your income last year?
I have to look at it or ask my accountants, but income last year, let's say, around 85,000 possibly.
So if your income was 85,000, then even by your own estimate, he would have, his business would be about 25% of your income, correct?
No, like I said, we get paid by a lot of different people.
No, so this is what I'm telling you. You said you're estimating your income at 20 grand a year. I'm sorry, your income at 85,000 a year. You're saying he's giving you about 20 grand a year over the past 3 years. 20 grand is a little less than 25%.
Well, you asked me for my personal income, right? I didn't tell you what the business made.
Well,
Right?
I asked you what, well, wait a minute, you said it's your business, correct?
Correct.
So would you agree that the defendant represents a substantial bit of income for you?
For me personally or my business?
For you personally?
No.
Well, if your personal income is $85,000 and he's giving you $20,000, you just don't consider $20,000 to be significant. Is that
He's
correct?
not paying me personally. He's paying my business.
So in the end, if he's paying, who owns your business?
I do.
So in the end, does the money go back to you?
Not all of it. I have employees.
So you say that he is a friend of yours, correct?
Correct.
How close of a friend?
Speak time to time, not often. Sometimes I don't hear from him.
How often do you talk to him?
Once every other month, possibly.
Once or so you're aware, I just want to back up. Fair to say that the defendant is a pretty big person within the rap world entertainment industry.
You can say that.
Well, I'm not asking if I'd say it, would you agree to it?
Sure.
And would you agree that his girlfriend, significant other, she's even bigger than he is, right?
Sure.
For someone like you, would you agree that being in a good relationship with people like A$AP Rocky and Rihanna, that is a positive for your career? Is that right?
Well, I only do business with him. I don't do business with his significant
That
other.
wasn't my question. Those were striking answers.
Sustained.
Listen to my question.
Sure.
My question is, would you agree that people like A$AP Rocky and Rihanna, given the business you're in, that getting in good with them is positive for your future business?
Sure.
And in fact, that's why as soon as, according to your testimony, as soon as you finish that call with A$AP Relli, you called the defendant, right?
Correct.
And in fact, it's fair to say, you did this call because you wanted to set up Relli to see what you could figure out, what might end up helping A$AP Rocky with this case, correct?
No.
So when you set this up, you said you wanted to video, you wanted to audio record. That sounds like you had some planning involved, correct?
I didn't set anything up. I was there to mediate the situation.
So you just decided that you were going to call him up, chat him up, and then immediately after that call, even though you only talked to him like every other month, you're like, hey, I think I'll call A$AP Rocky up.
Well, he was calling me numerous times first.
Who was calling you, A$AP Rocky?
Really?
That's not what I asked you. Most of the strike. Yeah, you know what? I'll
Just a
wait.
minute, he misunderstood.
Listen to my question.
Ask the question again.
What I'm asking you is, you're telling me you rarely talk to A$AP Rocky. You talk to him maybe every other month, right?
Correct.
But as soon as you spoke to Relli, the first thing you do is call him up and let him know, hey, here's what I got, right?
Correct. It's a situation between them two.
And you were looking to parlay your calling Relli to see if you can help ASAP Rocky and ingratiate yourself with him, correct?
No.
Well, let me ask you something. As you sit here today, would you agree that if ASAP Rocky is convicted, that very likely that's probably not going to be a positive for you and your income with respect to him?
No, I'll be fine.
That's not what I asked you. Listen to my question. If ASAP Rocky is convicted, you would agree that you might not be getting that 20 grand a year that you estimate you're making from him going
can't.
forward, correct?
Hold.
Objecting.
Grounds?
Thank you, sir. The first question was, it wouldn't be positive. He answered that.
That's not a legal objection.
Just state the legal question.
It's a different question. The first question was a different question than what you
It's
just
not a legal objection.
Just, hold on.
Courtroom. It's a courtroom.
Read the last question.
Your Honor, we don't have a still objection.
You did withdraw?
No, I didn't want to regard. It's misleading the witness. The first question that he answered was a different question.
That's not an objection, Your Honor. It's not a
I
legal
just did.
objection.
Objection misleading. There it
That's
is.
not a legal
Both
California
of you
objection.
stop. Both of you be quiet. Read the question. And the answer.
Question, let me ask you something. As you sit here today, would you agree that if ASAP Rocky is convicted, that very likely that's probably not going to be a positive for you and your income with respect to him? Answer, no, I'll be fine. Question, that's not what I asked. Listen to my question. If ASAP Rocky is convicted, you would agree that you might not be getting the 20 grand a year that you estimate you're making from him going forward. That's when there was an objection.
It's a fair question.
You understand the question?
Objection's overruled.
Can you ask it again?
Sure. You testified that you're making approximately 20 grand a year. You said your income's $85,000 a year. I'm just asking, you would agree that if he gets convicted, you would agree that probably does not portend well for you with respect to continuing to get 20 grand a year from him, correct?
Sure.
Sure, is that a yes?
Yes.
So-
Technically, yes. No.
You would agree that no matter what actually happened in this incident, your motivation, your goal as you sit here is you don't want your friend to get convicted, correct?
No, my goal is to tell the truth.
That's not what I asked you. Do you agree that as you sit here right now, that whether or not the defendant committed this crime or not, you don't want him to be convicted?
Technically, no, I don't want anyone to go to jail, so, no.
So what you're saying is that even if it is proven that the defendant assaulted the victim in this case with a firearm, you agree that you do not want him to be convicted, correct?
The objection.
Grounds.
It's a fair question.
Your Honor, again, he doesn't, he just says objection and then he gives no grounds.
All right, well,
Judge,
in
let me ask you
any
something.
grounds, it's overruled. So,
Okay.
so the question can be asked.
Ask again?
Please read the question back.
Question, so what you're saying is that even if it is proven that the defendant assaulted the victim in this case with a firearm, you agree that you do not want him to be convicted, correct?
No.
So a moment ago, you just said you don't want anybody to get convicted and go to jail. Now I've just asked you whether you want the defendant to be convicted, even if he committed a crime. And you've said, no, I don't agree that I don't want him convicted. Which is it?
If he committed a crime, sure. Justice, right, needs to be served, so.
So as you sit here today, your position is you're just an unbiased person coming in here to do your civic duty.
Correct, I was friends with both of them, so.
Well, you weren't really good friends with Relli, correct? You're much closer to the defendant.
I was friends with him.
Well, you were much closer to the defendant, correct?
Correct.
You said you flew out here, is that right?
Correct.
I assume was that first class or business?
Business?
Nice lie flat seats, I assume?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't there. So does sure mean that's what happened? What does sure mean?
Sure means yes.
Okay, if you can answer yes or no, and just make it easier with my question.
No problem.
Okay. So you flew out yesterday on a lie flat seat at the expense of the defendant and his lawyer, is that correct?
Correct.
And you came here not because you have any financial motivation, but because you simply want the truth to come out, is that right?
Correct. Because someone said the audio recordings weren't real.
So let me ask you something. What you just heard, those were snippets of approximately 30 minutes of conversation, is that correct?
Correct.
And during those 30 minutes of conversation, at any point in time, did Relli ever tell you that the shooting did not happen?
No.
Did he ever tell you at any point in time, you know what? Yeah, I'm trying to get his money, but I made the whole thing up.
No.
In fact, isn't it true that what he was telling you was that that man shot at him and Relli wanted to make sure that he got his for what happened? Is that correct?
That's what Relli said.
And you weren't there, is that correct?
No.
Correct?
Wait, hold
Yeah.
on.
That was a double negative. You weren't there, were you?
No, I was not.
And you don't have any idea whether or not this incident happened or didn't happen.
No.
So here's my, did you ever ask Relli? Hey, I'm sorry, did you ever ask the defendant, hey, listen, this guy's saying you shot at him. You ever ask him what happened?
Objection relevance.
You ever ask him what happened?
I don't recall.
So you are having conversations with Relli, which you're taping, and then immediately calling the defendant to report what happened. And you're telling me you've never asked the man, hey, did you cap 2 rounds at him?
I said I don't recall.
Well, is that something you think you remember?
3 years ago, I don't recall.
So you're telling me, I just want to make sure I understand this. Your testimony is, yeah, I'm recording him and I'm well aware of this situation that happened. And I've talked to the defendant about it. I talk to him every couple of months. But I've never asked him, hey, Relli's accusing you of shooting him. Did you do it? You never asked him that.
I don't recall. No.
Well, isn't it true? You didn't ask him that because you don't want to know the answer.
Objection, Your Honor. The state's testimony says it doesn't recall.
It's cross-examination.
Yeah, it's a fair question, a question.
Isn't it true that you didn't ask him that question because you don't want to know the answer?
Like I said, I don't recall, but I might have asked him. Sure.
So now you're saying you might have asked him if he shot Relli, but you don't remember the answer?
I said I don't recall me asking him that question. Right?
So let me be clear. I want to know, has the defendant ever discussed with you anything about the shooting?
No.
So then your answer would be, if you ever asked him about it, would be a definite no, correct?
Sure. Correct. Sorry.
Then why is it a moment ago you just said, I don't know, I don't remember?
Because I don't recall.
So, do you understand the difference between no and I don't recall?
Yes.
So, no, would you agree, would mean he absolutely never mentioned anything, and I don't recall would be, I'm not sure. Would you agree with that, those definitions?
You can agree to that.
And my question is, don't you think that as you're taping Relli for somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes, getting information about this incident and about what he intends to do, and then calling the defendant back immediately to report what happened, that you might have had a conversation with him about, hey, dude, what actually happened? Did you shoot the guy? You're saying that didn't happen, you never asked?
Never asked.
Are you curious?
No.
So you don't have any interest at all as to whether or not the defendant actually shot at Relli.
Doesn't make a relevancy objection again.
Sorry for minutes. Go on to another subject.
So, would you agree, your position is that you are talking to Relli and he is telling you about what he intends to do in terms of getting money from the defendant? Would you agree?
Yes.
Did you ever say to Relli during any of these calls that you recorded, hey Relli, how come you're getting money from him if the shooting never happened?
Never asked that.
Don't you think that would be a legitimate question to ask him?
No, I was just hearing your side of the story.
Well, and in fact, you would agree that there is nothing that Terell has ever said to you, nothing, that in any way indicates that the shooting did not happen. You agree?
I agree.
Would you also agree that whatever efforts Relli makes after the shooting, however much money he asks for, whatever calls he makes, does that change what happened during the incident?
Objection. Improper question.
What's that?
Sorry, man.
Well, let me ask you something. I'm asking you. You're taping him and you're reporting that conversation to the defendant. I'm asking you, is there anything about Relli's statements about suing the defendant, trying to get $30 million, is there anything about those statements that you are aware of that changes what actually happened the night of the incident?
No, I think I answered that.
So would you agree that whether or not Relli sues for $1, 20 million, 100 million, 20 gajillion dollars, that in the end, either the shooting happened or it didn't? Would you agree?
Yes.
And it's your further testimony, despite all that, you've never had one conversation or asked him one question, the defendant, about what actually transpired?
Objection as to
Thank you.
How many calls in total did you record?
2.
2 calls? Now, you said that you were upset because the idea that Relli was coming into court, you said you were offended by his line. Is that correct?
Yes.
When you were taping his calls, did he know you were taping?
No.
Do you think that friends tape other friends' phone calls?
Sometimes they can.
I'm asking you. I'm not asking you physically. I assume, sir, that if somebody wants to record a call, I didn't ask whether it's technically possible. I'm asking you, do you think that a friend records their friend's phone calls when that person doesn't know it?
with objection, he gave an answer.
That's not a legal objection. It's not.
Yes,
It's an
Yes,
objectionable
yes.
question. It's speculation, and what friends do is irrelevant. Ask another question.
You called Terell a friend of yours, correct?
Yes.
Do you think that it was being a friend of his to tape his phone calls without his knowledge?
Yes.
How was that being a friend to Terell?
Sometimes friends do things like that.
You mean sometimes friends betray friends by taping their calls and then calling other people to report what they found? Is that what you mean?
That's more than called betrayal.
It's argumentative.
So, when is the last time that you had spoken to the defendant prior to immediately calling him after the May 2022 phone call?
I didn't talk to him.
What's that?
I said I didn't talk to him prior to Relli calling me.
No, so, well, you talked to him before, so I'm asking the last time. When did the last time been?
I'm not sure.
When is the first time? So, when did you first find out about the whole incident, the shooting? When did you find out?
From
about it?
Relli in 2022.
No, I'm not asking when you found out from Relli. When did you first hear about the shooting?
When Relli told me.
So you're saying you had never heard about this shooting that happened to your friend, ASAP Rocky, until May of 2022?
Correct.
So you're saying you speak to him every other month, you're aware that that shooting, that incident happened in November 2021, right?
Yes.
And you're saying that even though your friend was involved in a shooting, lead shooting, ASAP Rocky, you didn't hear about it for 5 months?
I heard about it from Relli first.
And you said the first time you heard about it from Relli was in May of 2022. That's what you just testified to, correct?
Yes.
So when's the first time you talked to Relli after November of 2021?
I'm not sure.
Well, give me an estimate of when the last time you spoke to him was.
I said I'm not sure.
Well, here's my question. You would agree that the shooting involving ASAP Rocky, that was a big media event. Would you agree?
Yes.
Didn't you say, wait, what do you do for a living? Well, let me just get this right. You basically work on people's boosting their media profile, correct?
It's not what I do for a living.
What do you do for a living?
I'm not sure if you heard, but I run a technology agency and we build websites, software for brands, creatives, artists, musicians.
Right, and you testified, quote,
And part of that, if you want me to get into it, sometimes people offer things like Relli did to help with their social media.
you are very involved in the rap and entertainment world, correct?
No, I'm not. I'm not a rapper. I don't make music. I don't produce beats.
That's not what I asked you.
You asked if I'm involved in rap.
Are you involved in working with individuals in the music, rap, and entertainment world?
No. Might be 10%, 20% of my client list.
So it's 10% or 20% of your client list, but ASAP Rocky is approximately 20 to 25% of your income. Just want to clarify, is that correct?
You said, is my client list rappers or in the music industry? Repeat the question.
So here's what I'm asking you. You're telling me you never heard of this incident until May of 2022.
Until Relli told me.
You're telling me that Relli is contacting you saying he wants you to boost his media profile and he's naming outlets like Rolling Stone magazine, correct?
Yes.
So wouldn't it be your job to be monitoring what's going on in the media with individuals that you're talking to?
No, it's not my job.
So let me ask you something. Your sworn testimony is, Relli told me about it for the first time in May 2022. That's the first I heard of this shooting, correct?
Yes.
Let me ask you, given what you do for a living, does that sound reasonable to you?
Yes.